Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Essential Talk podcast. What is essential to talk about today is kickstarting your legal career in 2024. And who better than Professor Anjali Chawla, who is the Assistant Dean of Jindal Global Law School, to talk about the same. So, without any further delays, let's dive in and resolve the puzzle of kickstarting your legal career. So, let's begin. Welcome, Professor Anjali Chawla. Welcome to our show. Thank you for taking our time for this podcast. So, without any further delays, let's dive into the puzzle of kickstarting your legal career in 2024.
Let's do that. Thank you so much, Weber, for inviting me for your podcast. And I'm very happy that after months of going back and forth, we are finally here today to record this. Yes, please do. I can't wait.
Definitely, it's always a pleasure to talk and discuss about the puzzles of life. So, okay, so we'll dive into this. So, I have to start off by asking you uh, the day you started your practice in law compared to what is it today. I want to understand your journey, keeping in mind the opportunities we have now as compared to when you started off law. So, how was it back then?
Yeah, I mean, like if I talk to you about, let me rephrase this question in a manner that it's a continuous journey. So, like if I tell you about my uncles, my distant uncles, like nobody in my family has a law background, neither in my maternal side nor my paternal side. Like nobody actually
First gen
practiced
lawyer.
law. Yeah, I'm a first generation lawyer.
Okay.
I do have few uncles who have done law as a secondary or a tertiary degree, basically, but they never used
Okay.
it. So, they told me that in their time, if nobody is doing anything, parents will say that, okay, at least do law. So the idea is a person who does nothing does a law. That was the perception of the market.
Right.
I talk about my personal journey. I never thought that I'll be doing the law. I always wanted to be a blueprint architecture. So, drawings and science was something that I was doing throughout. On contrary, I used to detest law. I don't know, I had this perception of law that it's for the people who just do nothing, know nothing. You just have to cram things and speak. It's so boring. Lawyers are vindictive. That was my idea.
Right.
And I mean, like, you can't even question me in that sense. We have seen those B-grade Bollywood movies which have made lawyers to look not so very, fancy. So I never thought of doing law. In fact, law came to me at a very later stage, and I would also give credits to my dad for that because, after my 12th, I was actually waiting for all these competitive exams result to be out, and it was a Women's Day,
Right.
and so my dad reads newspaper every day in the morning. So in my 30 year of life, I've seen him every day morning 6 a.m. with a newspaper. So that day I just like woke up early and I went out to sit with him in the garden, and he told me, like, you might want to read this newspaper. And the frontal of that newspaper had women in law, and it did talk about how women are doing really great in law. And then he said, you argue for everything with me, and it's more like a negotiation between us all the time. So why don't you think that you would like to do law? Because I think that you'll be good in this mechanism. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I never liked law and I've not thought about law. But then he's like, at least try. And that's where I actually thought of giving it a try. I came to law school. I chose Jindal because one of the thing with me was I was very serious that I can't cram. So the traditional legal, you know, journey would not be my journey. He said that
Right.
go to Jindal because I've done my schooling also from Jindal, and I knew that it's a place with all the practicality. And I was like, yeah, can do. And yes, I came to the law school. It was altogether a new world for me. Luckily, or my perception that I had previously, the stereotypes got, broken in the sense that I've seen people doing so many things, and then rest is the history. And like every day was falling in love with law. And I mean, like now at this point of time, I could not think of doing anything but practice law. So that has been my legal journey. So law has happened to me by accident, I would say. It was not a well thought move. And I'm very glad for that accident. If I talk about law nowadays, I don't think so. Students are very, generic in their approach. I feel the generation Z that we are having right now,
Right.
they are very solid in that manner. They have well thought their moves. So in general, we do offer something called BA Legal Studies. So it's not a hardcore law, background, but it does have a idea of law in the overall superset.
Right.
And I thought, students have just picked it because they were not understanding. But when I had more conversation with students, they have calculated their each moves. So law is not like a traditional setup altogether. People are putting well thought into it, coming to the field, and the kind of niche now people are creating for them, like art law, media law. Somebody just want to do an entertainment law, arbitration, my field. In arbitration, also, we have now energy sector, green arbitration. So people are moving into very well nuanced fields. So it's also a very refreshing change. And now with AI, of course, there is altogether a plethora of different subsets that are coming now. So I feel that
Right.
now people who are taking law is a very well thought move.
Right. One thing would like to add up onto this is that the perception that who doesn't do anything does law somewhat still exists. But I also, on the other hand, appreciate the fact that how the language of law and the subjects of law have been divided, as you said, that is divided into BA legal. This is something that I didn't hear before this. So this is also something new, which is, I believe, coming up. So that's really great. This brings me to another you know uh, curiosity. I'm very curious to understand. So talking about a little bit about the traditional approach of doing law, right? Initially, once back in 90s, law was just a 3-year course. But eventually it became a 5-year course. So understanding in today's time, is there any difference in terms of opportunities in the job market when it comes to doing a 3-year law or a 5-year law? So, is there any difference, overall difference, or any difference in terms of opportunity or something that one should consider before taking up either of them?
So I would say I can't say that one is better than another because I'll give
Right.
you two perceptions of it. People who are doing like a 5-year integrated course of either BA LLB or BCom LLB or BBA LLB or any other undergrad, now BSc LLB has also started for a few
Yes.
places.
Yes.
So I mean, it does give you an edge because you are in a legal system for a very longer time. When you're doing a 5-year course, of course, initially 2 to 3 years are focused on your undergrad program, which you are mixing it with LLB, which is BA, BSc, BBA.
Right.
By the same time, your legal subject starts coming to you from semester one, day one. So, law is also about how you perceive things, how you calculate things. So you are applying your legal brain since day one. And by the time you're
Correct.
out in the market at the end of 5 years, of course, you'll have an edge in a sense that you had more time to grasp onto the things, which a 3-year student might not have it, right? Because they are doing things in an expedited format. And you had that leisure at your, disposal where you could take one day at a time and could do things. And of course, now internships opportunities are there. Students go on exchange programs. There's so many things that is happening. There's think tank, there's policy, law is everywhere. So five
Right.
years
Correct.
give you a lot of time to do, hit and trial methods, like this works for you, this doesn't work for you. So by the time you are there at the end of 5 year, of course, maybe as a recruiter, if I'm doing a recruitment for a firm, probably I'll have more inclination for a 5-year program for my A0 level because I want more
Correct.
research and you have more grasp onto it. But having said that, LLB people who do that, usually what I have seen is people do their undergrad complete, they do work in between for like a 6 months to a year on an average, and then they come to the law school. I feel
Right.
when you do undergraduation and then you work a bit in the field, that also gives you a sense of maturity because technically a 5-year law program student is still a school student at the age of 15, 16 who has come into the the law school. So no matter you had time to practice things, but only knowledge doesn't help you, your experience also counts in the field, I feel. So people who have done a 3-year program somewhere have met different people through, because BA program is a generic program. People who are coming in 3-year BA program, let's say, somebody will go in policy, somebody will go in medical, nursery, pharma, something like that. Somebody
Right.
will go in. So you meet different kind of people altogether. So you have an exposure to a bigger group who has different things pan out for their life, and then you
Correct.
network also, because law works on networking, and it works on interdisciplinary as well. So tomorrow if I get to know that, oh, my classmate from BA is actually doing this thing, and it's a good way of me collaborating. So that sense of networking, that sense of exposure, that sense of wiseness, because now when I picked law after 3 years of my program, I have categorically made that choice. So, which the assumption that we spoke about, that whosoever does nothing does law, that gets negated. Because
Yes.
now I have categorically picked this field that I want to go to law, and I want to make all the difference in the world, or maybe difference in my pocket size or something like that. But now it's a well thought move for me. So I feel by that logic, LLB students are more grounded, more mature, and they have more calculated moves by that logic. So it's basically knowledge versus experience in a matter, if I have to divide it into two different parts. And I would not say that, because a lot of in-house counsels, or a lot of in companies, like let's say if I'm a company who makes uh, electronics, and
Electronic
somebody
products. Yeah.
has done BSc physics earlier, would
Right.
have more understanding of how science works, and then now also brings a legal expertise for me. So for me, maybe that ideal candidate becomes that person. So by that logic, I will feel that I can't say that one is superior over another. It's just about the choice and the opportunity that is available. But yes, as soon as you've done law, you have already done a value addition to yourself. So to each of
Oh,
its own to answer.
right. So there are always two, perspectives to a thing. I want to pick up by you mentioned about internships, exchange programs. I want to ask you how much of importance internships or exchange programs hold in today's time when it comes to CV building.
Not even CV building, Webhub. I feel it also adds on to your understanding. For example, let's just not let me deviate a little bit from the law school.
Yes.
We all have nieces, nephews who are in kindergarten and everything. Every
Yes.
other week they have activities planned. So now no longer is a place where students is learning from a book saying A is for apple, L is for leopard, it's for lion. They're going to the zoos, they're going to the on the field, making them feel that okay, that's how an animal looks. Even like
Right.
a lot of things, when I teach my nieces and nephews in vacation, they do have workbooks like, okay, that's how a paw feels, of an animal. That's a fur. So they touch everything, they interact with the environment and learn, because that practicality has now become of much importance. It's no longer restricted to that classroom learning. Similarly, the more we are growing the system, the more we are transforming the society as in total, there is no concession to the practicality. Exchange program, let me just talk to you about that. So Asian societies, especially like South Asian societies, we are very competitive and we do everything at a very early age. Like, on
Yes.
an average, 16 to 17-year-old goes to law school. That's not the case outside. A person on an average would be of an age of 19 to 20 who goes to the law school. And all
Okay.
these years do add. When you go to the semester exchange program, people from worldwide have come together. So everybody is bringing a different perception from their part, right? It
Right.
also prepares you for the world, because right now, if I feel that if I'm doing law in India, I am kind of practicing law in a vacuum, because everybody around me is coming from a similar ecosystem. The
Correct.
moment I go to some cross border, goes to another country, because law is important for all the societies. International law is important. There is an intersectionality of different societies together, right?
Yes.
I need to know how my counterparts in a parallel universe are performing for me to enhance and grasp, because I want somebody to come cross border, do business with my country. I need to know what they're resorting to. And that kind of understanding, that kind of interaction, again, that sort of wisdom, because it's all about, we can't say it, that'll be very rude on our part to say that, oh, we know everything. We don't.
That's
If you'll
right.
meet any senior advocate, anybody like, who has done so much in law, even if you talk about Mr. Palkhiwala, Mr. Nariman, all of them have somewhere at some point of time have referred them as a student of law,
Yes, yes,
because
they
we
have.
all are learning, right? We can never say that, oh, I'm a professional. I'm a professional, but I'm still a student of law, because it's never enough. So I feel
Yes,
that change program, going out, interacting with people, do broaden your horizon, do give you a new perspective to think a problem in a different manner, which somebody would have never done so. So it's very much important. And of course, similarly for internship, as I said, law is nothing like how we read it in the book. Law is all
yes,
about how we are practicing. Sometimes we follow. I remember this case in Supreme Court back in 2014. I was doing an internship. All the lawyers were, there was a bail matter, and the lawyers, the team of lawyers were going mad. Like, they were reading all the procedural law, looking at the statute, that how do we get this person a bail, right? And then one of the senior advocates just walks into the courtroom and said, my lord, and he gave an income tax return document to the court. And the court was like, what is this? They said, this is a record that my client has been filing income tax from past, let's say, 35 years in the country. So they said, so she's like, my lord, if somebody is filing an income tax, which means they want to be recognized as a citizen. Like,
correct.
yeah. Like, why would this person abscond in that case if the person is already filing the taxation? And which means if they are not absconding, then what is the harm of giving them a bail? Because bail is a rule and jail is an
Exactly.
exception. So he never actually went into the nitty-gritties of how criminal law works. And based on a tax return, he got that person a bail from Supreme Court. So I mean, that's the beauty of law. And I feel that once you go for internship, once you go to the field, you get to learn all these things. I have always practiced law in Delhi circuit, so Delhi High Court and
Yes,
Supreme Court and the the district courts. I would say Delhi High Court is one of the happiest places because the seniors are, they're available all the time. Like when I was a student, you would approach to a senior, they will buy you a coffee, they will sit with you, and they will talk. Such was the ecosystem of Delhi High Court, and still is. Like I keep on meeting all the senior advocates. We have this, Madhyam, which is the mediation NGO, which works
yes,
with the Delhi High Court. Mr. Chandyok is, the guiding light of the initiative, and it's beautiful. Every time I go for a lecture series, I go to interact with them. All the seniors, they would meet you and welcome you like you're a part of them, a part of the family, and they will continuously, very calmly keep on teaching you. So I feel if you are not going on the field, if you're not interacting with people, if you're not learning by looking, just reading and getting like a 9 CGPA would not help you. So not just for your LinkedIn or your CV building, your overall growth is also important. And once you go into the field after being the student to work, all these activities do add up, because now people also appreciate the kind of time you have spent outside of that comfort zone that you had of your classroom, and actually try to learn something else to build up your career. That of course takes you a longer way, even if it's not in career immediately. In long run, you do get those benefit coming back to you.
right. So there are a lot of key takeaways from this particular talk that we did. I'll come one by one to each and every one of them. I'll try my level best to come to each and every one of them. So I'll just pick up the fact of networking here. I believe the importance of networking or having that networking skill set is somewhat, at the background being highlighted and the importance being highlighted. So I'll come to the question. According to you,
Mm.
what kind of skill set, apart from having the skill set to network, what other skill set and ideally a law student should have once that person is entering into the field of law? So is there any checklist? Just asking if there is any checklist that, okay, these are the basic skill sets that every law student or a recent graduate should have once he's into, has done the graduation degree and moving forward?
So you have mentioned about networking. I would say networking is very much important for lawyers, especially if I talk about the Indian stance. We can't solicit. Soliciting is not allowed in our field.
Yes.
Technically, you can't even have big billboards as well of yours that you are practicing a law.
Yes.
Even your nameplate outside your office should also have to be of certain size. So
Certain size. Yes.
technically, law is considered to be a noble profession, and Indian lawyers are prohibited in every sense to solicit us in any manner. In that a sense, networking becomes utmost important, right? Because
Right.
if I am not projecting what I know through an advertisement, or if I'm not able to show my credentials through any website or anything, how do I let people know that I am also one of the smaller fishes into this market who wants to be a big fish someday, right?
Fair
So
enough.
networking is to play at that point of time, because you have to be at right time with the right kind of people in order to promote or facilitate your growth. There have been a lot of talks that is going on LinkedIn where people are posting that, even if you don't know law well, networking will take you to, to places. Some people are saying that no, knowledge is an ultimate key, networking will not help. I personally feel that you can't see both of the things in vacuum again. You will have to have knowledge and network at the same time. Because let's say if I have a way of getting into the right rooms with the right kind of people at the same time, uh, that's my networking skill for you. It will only take me to a point, because the moment a serious discussion starts or something starts, if I don't have anything to contribute, on contrary, I don't know what is happening around me, even that networking will not be of any use to me. So the skill set that you've spoke to me about is continuously understanding. So one thing that is very important for all the students, which I feel everybody start losing it, is that reading is very important. And unfortunately, a lot of lawyers, they don't read. What do we read? We read live law, we read bar and bench, we read SCC. That's it. That's
The
not
go-to
reading.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not reading. Those are the cheat codes that you're doing. Reading means you read a novel, you read fiction, you read about history, you read about geography, you read about geopolitics, you read anything and everything, international relations, or even if you're not reading leisure, poetry. I mean, we have had plethora of judges and senior advocates. All the things, if you read judgments, Adhar, basic doctrine, and any
Yes.
landmark judgment, that matter of fact, jurisprudence do come into the play. And jurisprudence is not just coming from the legal field. It is coming from so many things. Like, in the orders, now we have started seeing that judges have started citing Marvel and DC comics as well. They do cite those prompts from, which has been
Right.
there. Because, as I said, law is a factor which keeps society into the check. So we are not different from society. We are intertwined
True.
in the society. We are making law not for to we are than others. We are also making law so that everybody could practice and everybody could read and understand. How will
Yes.
somebody read and understand? If I continuously keep on citing Latin terms, as a normal person, even if they read the document, they will not understand. So if you will read judgments, they is coming. The analysis from text, from mythology, from pop culture, everything has been extracted. Am I audible?
Yes. 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 You are.
Yeah. So in
Yeah.
that case, when you're extracting things out from different arenas, you are making your law more homogeneous for people to understand it better. And also it gives you a perception, because as I said, you can't take with things in idle approach. You have to always interlink and see how things are panning out. So I feel reading is very important. Everybody should read. They must read. And again, then writing, because everything has to be documented. So you need to know how to write a crisp, concise, and senseful thing. So writing and reading are the most important skill set for any lawyer that they should continuously practice.
Right. I guess reading and writing is something that our parents have been emphasizing upon since childhood.
Oh,
At least my parents. This is what I have understood that my father always used to emphasize on the fact that read and write, irrespective of the profession you are taking. So yes, that's something that I really appreciate till date. I'm very cherish the fact. And secondly, another takeaway for our audience is that uh, don't use a cheat code when you are in law. Go ahead, read the journals, read the books, just not the live law and the
I'm
bar
not
and bench,
saying
right?
don't use the cheat code, Weber, because as much as hard work is appreciated, at times you need to play a smart work as well. But don't make your
Yes,
life as a cheat code that you're continuously only able to
correct.
do that. Of course, sometimes the situations would ask for it. For example, if I'm a junior practicing in a court and my senior tells me that go and seek an adjournment from the court. Now, judges also want students to read and come. If you were not new to the the case, you will try to read list of the documents. You will also try to quickly get a gauge that
Yes,
what law is going to be applied, because you don't want to appear as a fool in front of the judge when they're
correct.
asking you. I'm not saying you are going to argue based on your limited knowledge, but at least you will be able to mark that impression that okay, you're not stupid, you know where exactly to look in a short given point of time. So
Yes.
cheat codes are important. Adaptability has to be there, but that should not be the sole criteria. So when you have time, do take that longer route and get that understanding complete.
Right, right. So it's technically a mix of both that is required in today's time when it comes to adaptability. Right. Uh, there are a lot of other things that I still, I'm curious to ask about, but since we are running short on time, I just have two very small questions. One is, what are the available options for recent graduates to pursue as their career? And second of all, what tips do you want to give them just to pursue these things that you're gonna say?
Okay, so one tip that I have is please stop getting inspired by Boston Legal and Suits. Law field, do not, get summoned in a three-piece suit and a fancy New York skyline facing office. No, it's not like that. If you really want to love law and if you really want to, grow in this field, district courts are the way. Please start going to the district courts, district forums. Try and understand how the law is functioning from the ground reality. Because by the time things comes to a high court and a supreme court, except writs, most of the things are coming in an appeal form. So like
Appeal
the
form,
tough
yes.
work has been done because somebody who started from a scratch and who had to build those foundations. Because in at appellate stage, you're now fine tuning the things. But where did that thing come from? It's also important for you to understand. When I tell my
Understand the
students,
source basically.
yeah, because when I'm telling my students to go to district court, they be like, I might be wasting their time. But you ask them, do you know how much of stamp paper you have to put? What is the size of a paper? What is the formatting of the paper? Where do you even stand in the court? Where do you do the filing? You need to understand the background also. It's just not the courtroom action that is happening. So,
Right.
and there are so many cases pending, so many of them that even everybody, if we start taking our life seriously, and if we start taking law seriously, I can assure you that not despite having a huge volume of, young lawyers,
Young lawyers, yeah.
nobody nobody of them would have a free time because there is so many cases pending and people are always on the lookout of a good lawyer. So district courts are a good forum to start with. Again, apart from law firm is like I don't have to sell them hard. Everybody already give them due credits, but policy matters because my understanding is that I understand that law doesn't give you that much money in the beginning, which an engineering job would give it to
True.
you.
That's
But
correct.
that's okay. That's okay. Like you need to make your foundation strong. Money will come to you. So look for jobs like in the policies. Do fellowships with the MPs, MLAs. There is LAM fellowship that happens. Uh, Teach for India. Just don't do it for people who are going for masters because they feel that it makes their application look appealing. Even otherwise, also it's important that you go for a ground reality. So there are so many fellowships. Then
Right.
legal cells, null size there, dull size there. there are state legal service authorities, um, women commissions are there, human rights commissions are there. So you should go to commissions and work as well. So understand the whole thing, that wherever you feel, because even academic writing and drafting policies in the right manner also takes kind of take the burden away from the court, in the sense, because if you have done work initially, with all your
Right.
heart, ultimately the dispute will also start to get shrink, because at least there is no, a lot of things are now stuck on the interpretation as to what was the intention of writing this. So if we again fine tune our skills from and understand very basics, we are
Right.
going to make up for less of the confusions. So all these places are also to be explored. I also tell my students, there's this NGO Isaac, where most of the Delhi University students I've seen going to abroad, like they send you to
Right.
Ecuador, let's say, for making carpentry things. They send you to Mauritius to clean the beaches, to understand aquatic life. So I think as a lawyer, you should explore the maximum you could.
We
And
can.
these
Yes.
are your initial years to see what works for you. No, so because if you get comfortable right now, in the early era of your legal journey, you might be enjoying the money that you're getting, the position you're
True.
getting. But again, you have to grow, right? You can't be at the same position at all the time. After 3 4 years, when you start to grow and take that path, very basic questions, if it's not clear in your mind, you will not be comfortable asking somebody, because you will have that kind of hesitation. But without
Correct.
them, also without not having a solid background or foundation, you can't go the projection that you have thought about you. So it is very important that you do a lot of experiment with your own self. Unless you're a second or third generation lawyer where the chamber and the practice is established, then of course you can afford to do that. But if you're a first generation lawyer, I feel to continuously challenging yourself initially has to be the key if you want to grow bigger in the career.
Right. So, I totally agree to the fact that you need to get out of your comfort zone, especially when you are a first gen lawyer. I myself is a first generation lawyer, so I somewhat from the day one I understand this. This is my takeaway, that from the first day I really understand that I really don't have something to fall back upon in terms of doing law. So it's technically from the day one, I believe this would have been with you also, that you're on
Yeah,
your
it's a
own.
fight and flight mode all the time.
That means
And
you
as
you can
we,
stop. Yeah.
yeah, no, in that, I think in that circumstances, it is very important to be honest to yourself. You could
True.
fool everybody around you, like, I'm very happy, content with whatever I have, and this is exactly I wanted to do. But you can't fool your own self. You have to
On
be
your own
very,
self.
very ruthless to yourself when it comes to the honesty. And you need to ask this question, that is it something I want to do for next 25 years of my life? Or do I have to make changes? And if I have to make changes, when do I start? And I start now. So see, it for a first generation law, it's not like a half-hearted thing. Either you do it completely,
Right.
or I would move away from the law and do something that you feel that where you could do a value addition. Because earning is not a problematic situation. People do earn. I have seen lawyers who earn by what? Delegation. So if I
Yes.
take like class action suits or something, I just know an answer to, or that would come easy to me. I can easily make money, or I can take like a sum from a client and could hire a small younger lawyer underneath me and let them do the work. Money is not a problem. People could make like a lot of money. Recently, my friends, so Netflix has this show called Mamla Legal Hai, and
Yes. Yes. Yes.
it shows the reality, somewhat reality in a exaggerated manner of
Yeah.
trial courts. Some of my friends, they told me that, is it true? And I was like, I mean, it's not completely false, but yeah, there is a truth to it, and that's exactly how it happens. So money is not a difficult task. You can earn money in any format you would like to. Like everything gets sell off. We all see Shark Tank, absurd business proposal comes, and all of them are also making money. So money can come, but we are talking about the value addition, that how value addition is happening by your work.
Right. It's very, I would say, very well said on the aspect and basically distinguishing the fact that earning money is something different and value addition is something different. And being a lawyer, I totally agree to this fact that money will come eventually to you 5 years or 7 years down the line. But the fact remains to what extent you're able to add value, to the, I would say the society in this case. So yeah, I totally, agree to the fact. So now, couple of just small more things I want to, ask you with regards to, since we already, just one thing, since you already talked about the fellowship part, going into the policy sector. I guess Center for Trade and Investment Law is one of them who offers fellowships and internships. Uh, Extending a little further to, you know uh, the available options that a person has after graduation, frequently the question of should I pursue LLM comes to a person's mind, including me, honestly. This was something that I was dwelling upon in my, when I was doing my undergraduation, that is LLM something that should be done. So yeah, I just want to understand your perspective when it comes to doing an LLM, and how one can actually, fully and efficiently utilize that LLM and, add value to their own profession. So just want to understand your take on that.
See, my understanding is education never goes waste. Even if you do like 20 degrees, it's still valid. Uh, Mr. B.R. Ambedkar himself had 15 degrees, and I think
Yes.
it only made him wiser. And, like, for us, the respect has always gone up for him. So education never goes waste. But yes, LLM now is no longer a unique selling proposition. There was a time when only bunch of the people were doing LLM, and it was given a very high regards. Now LLM has also become essential like an MBA degree where everybody else is doing. People who could afford it, afford the time, like, who don't have that pressure of getting bread earned back for the family, and who could also give another
Yes.
year to themselves. Everybody is doing an LLM. Somebody from abroad, somebody from India, somebody on
Yes.
full scholarship. So there are so many options available. If you have to ask me whether to do an LLM or not, I would always say yes. Because even if I don't have to come to academia, I would have still done an LLM. Because
Right.
LLM is basically, it gives you again a further understanding of the law. But my understanding is that a specialization of LLM always is a better thing to take than a generic LLM. Because, of
Okay.
course, in generic LLM, you'll be studying 8 to 10 things. So it gives you options in the end. Like,
Right.
you have specialization, so you're going to stick to it, right? In a
Yes.
manner. Otherwise, what is the point? I would not say that one thing is good to another. People
Okay.
go for LLM after college as well. People go for LLM after work experience as well. Both of them are correct, right? If you're going after, if you know that I want to go into the academia and this is an eligibility criteria for me also to have a master degree. So why do I even waste time when my goal is clear? I want to do right away. Or I know myself that once I get busy with the career, it'll be very difficult for me to come back to the education. And education, I have already made a projection for myself that at least I will have a master degree. So better
Right.
now than never. So I'll go for an LLM. Those are very legit concerns and fine by us, right? You should do LLM. But if given a chance to me, I would always prefer, again, it's a personal preference, that I would go for an LLM, or I would advise people going for an LLM after working into the field. Because even if I say that internship was a practical experience, nobody's relying upon you in an internship.
Yes.
Once you
Right.
are given work, your work is appreciated. It's more like a learning curve for yourself. But once you get into a full time job, like as an associate in a chamber or in a law firm or anywhere in the office, there is a sense of reliability upon you. Client will ask you question, your superior will give you direction, they will also expect things out of you. So now independently you're holding on to something. So that
Right.
kind of only knowledge is again not enough. How do you navigate through that situation is also important.
It's
And
also
that thing
important.
only a
Yeah.
job could teach you. And I feel when you go for an LLM, it is important that you bring a sense of maturity with you to the classroom. Otherwise, what
Correct.
exactly you're contributing in the class? I have already read what does a law state, what is a statute, how to read a statute, how does statute works. Now, what
Yes.
value addition I'm doing in LLM class also depend upon what I am bringing on table. Because if you'll see, a master class are not more like a teaching thing where you go, you sit, your professor
That's
teaches you.
right. That's right.
More about discussions. That professor comes with certain set of knowledge. Your knowledge then added to that current knowledge and make or bring a decision or discussion out of something that either is problematic right now, we are looking for an answers, or comes with a creative solution. How will you contribute? In order to fill up a glass, at least your glass should be filled somewhat,
Yes.
maybe quarter,
To some
maybe
extent,
half,
yes. Yes.
equal, right? If it's if it is not there, what are you even pouring? So I personally feel that LLM makes sense to me when you go for a specialization. Like I did a super specialization. I did a commercial arbitration. So when I said I did an international commercial arbitration, there was not even a class where we discussed about investment arbitration. It
Yes.
was
Yes. Yes.
clearly out and out about commercial arbitration. But I would say that it was beneficial that I went after working for about 2 years, because I did found myself like, little different from people who had no experience altogether.
Yes. I
And
believe
I
it puts you in
also
a
got
little different position,
yeah,
than others. Yeah.
but when I was going, I was feeling that the sense of superiority to me that, oh, I have a 2 year experience. But when I actually went to the class, I did have colleagues, acquaintances, classmates who had 10 to 12 years of legal field experience also. And
Yes. Yes.
every year counts.
Yes.
And you will find that once you start talking to them, conversing with them in that legal sphere.
Right. This is something that I can say about my personal experience as well, since I'm pursuing my LLM. So I have classmates from different jurisdiction with 15 to 17 years of experience as well.
Yeah.
And I believe the thought process is totally different. There is no I would say right or wrong, but yes, it is a different sort of an addition to the not only to the class, but once you have a conversation with them, again the networking skills again comes into the picture. Then just reiterating to this for my audience that how important the networking skills are, right? So yes, I totally agree to the difference. And yes, I totally agree to the fact when you mentioned that once you work as for example, an associate in a law firm, the sense of responsibility comes into picture. So yes, that's also something that I totally agree upon. Uh, with this, just one last thing I'll ask, and we'll wrap up after this is scholarships. Since we're talking about LLM, we have to talk about scholarships, right? Uh, a lot of scholarships, what I have faced in practical terms is that it's not very much publicized, because a lot of people take up counselors who don't mention these scholarships. A lot of people don't know about these scholarships. That's maybe also a fact. So according to you, what are the scholarships that one should look for if the person is pursuing the LLM abroad?
See, so scholarship, when we talk about the Indian ambit, always comes with the sense that, oh, the person is meritorious, which is why it's getting scholarship. Scholarships are called as financial assistance, especially in the West, if I talk about America, because there's nothing to do with your how great you are. They are squarely there because you can't afford that education. And
For the
everybody's feeling that
financial assistance, yes.
yes, the financial assistance. So you first have to see and demarcate for yourself that whether you're looking for a meritorious scholarship because you want to add it onto your CV that I am a scholarship student, or you're taking or seeking scholarship for the financial assistance because of course studying abroad is an expensive task
It's a
and you pay
task.
for everything and everything,
Yes.
right? So now one easy way of finding out whether scholarships are available or not. The fact that you mentioned about the counselors, half of the scholarships, even counselors do not know because those are
Yes.
not popularized. Even your counselor is also extracting the data from the sources where the students are doing so, right? Or
Yes.
sometimes the personal connects. So it's, I mean, a counselor would be a person with an MBA degree helping law students to get into the job. Of course, that in-depth understanding or knowledge will only come once that person has become a counselor for over 15 years of experience, 20 years of
Correct.
industry experience, and now have made enough contacts. Otherwise, they are also somewhat clueless. I mean, like better than you. I mean, you as in like the students who are going, but still a lot for them also to discover and to identify for the students.
Right.
So one of the easier way of finding scholarships are the colleges that you have shortlisted. Go on that college websites. They will be having their internal scholarships and financial assistantships.
Okay.
Some college applications also mention that if you are filling this application, by de facto, we are considering you for scholarship. For
All right.
example, in University of Southern California, when I applied, I got a Dean scholarship. Didn't have to apply for a separate thing because it was a meritorious
Okay.
scholarship. So they calculated based on our application that you have sent the application, you qualify for this scholarship, and they'll tell you that congratulations, not only your application has been accepted,
But
but
you have been
your
given the
scholarship
scholarship as well.
right?
That's
Then there are certain universities, for example, NUS, National University of Singapore. When
yes.
I was filing their application, their financial assistance application was separate. So they said that if you have to, apply for scholarship, apply for that. Then there are third kind of a thing. Sweden. I did my master's from Stockholm University, Sweden. So they don't per se have their own internal scholarship. What they have is an external scholarships attached. For example,
Do it.
some firms funding some students. So there were scholarships which was available for the Eastern European students coming
Okay.
from Croatia, Ukraine, all these places. Then there were Asian scholarship, which was for Chinese students. So they write about that. These are the external scholarships. These people provide it. So they give a hyperlink of those third parties who are giving the scholarship. So one thing
Right.
is to navigate the websites where you are applying. You find that. Then there are generic scholarships which are famous, like Fulbright scholarship is there, INLAX is there, Rhodes scholarship is there, so you apply for them. Chevening is there. So different kind of scholarships are there. So you apply for them. They have the procedure. For that, you need to have master's standing offers from certain universities, and then you
Certain
apply for
universities.
scholarships. Because those scholarships are not just for your education fees. They do cover your education fees. In extended to that, they also give you per diems, which means like your daily allowances as well to survive yourself throughout that, master's degree. Then
Right.
those are more famous kind of a thing. When you do a simple Google search about scholarship for LLM, you get that and you can apply. Then we have endowments as well. A lot of companies under CSR, corporate social responsibility, they do give endowments. Tata gives one, Mahindra gives one. So you could also visit these big brands, their websites, and see who is giving what sort of endowments. Then
Correct.
the fourth category is where you generate your scholarship. Even a lot of judges like Justice Pratibha M. Singh has her scholarship running in Cambridge. So you could also find out about, ministers. Mr. Salve's scholarship is there. So there are so many people like Mr. Singhvi also gives endowment. So you could also search for these senior legal luminaries and see if they are offering something. And then next thing is where you create your own scholarships. How do you do that? Fundraising being one. In foreign people do that GoFundMe all the time for their education. In India, we do have different places like Milap is there. There are different NGOs who are doing these kind of work. Or you could simply also make your own account of funding and publicize it, seek help.
Right.
Um, there are so many law firms. If you're working for a law firm, let's say you work for about 4 to 5 years, now you want to do your masters, you could also speak with them. You could have maybe make a kind of contract with them that you will come back to them and start working. You could take like a year or 2 years of sabbatical. A lot of my friends from masters who came to do the masters also had those kind of contracts with their law firm, and upon
Hmm.
1 year of masters they return to the places. So if you're EU citizen, of course you don't have to pay, but otherwise They did get it. Governments give. Government of India gives endowment. UK government gives endowment. EU itself, European Commission has lots many scholarship that is going around. So you should look at the governmental website as well. Even otherwise, if you know some senior, like who keeps on doing these philanthropy work, because you know there comes a point when our seniors they're earning so much that they don't even touch their fees,
Yes,
because the requirements are not that much, and their daily activities are going through that interest which they're earning on their fees itself. So they do have a lot of funds to go, and they love to put this money of a great use by putting
putting
into
them
the
into
potential
potential.
candidate who will do great. And it's all about the sentiment of giving back to the field which you have got.
True.
So you write to them. I mean, I remember I wrote a letter to Mr. Ramjit Milani when I was doing for my master's. He was
Okay.
extremely sick and bedridden at that point of time. I did
Okay.
visit his office, couldn't meet him, but and then he eventually passed away as well. God bless his soul. So, people do help. It's not like that. If they feel that you have a potential, you will make good use of this money. They are more than happy to contribute in your growth. So
Right.
you write to people, seek their advice, seek some sort of monetary compensation. All these things are there. Otherwise, if you don't get scholarship, there are so many universities that have projects going on, right? Where they pay you stipends. Or you
Yes.
could work in library and earn through hourly rates. So you could do
Yes.
legal research for them, making that money and then kind of continuing with your education. Um, so these are few ways in which you could earn that money, but it won't come last minute. Like you wake up today and you'll be like, I need a scholarship and I want to go for a
Definitely.
master's. It
So it's
has to
it's
be a
a
well
long
planned.
process
It will take time,
if
and
it's gonna
patience
take
has
time.
to be there. And nobody has gotten time. So don't write like stories in pages and pages. Make an impact. Tell them very shortly that who you are, where you're coming from, why do you need scholarship, and what value addition. Ultimately, everything boils down to a value addition.
Value
That
addition.
how
Yes.
we are taking this whole legal system at to the another level.
Right. Right. So everything comes down to the fact of value addition. And thank you for mentioning a lot of options that even I wasn't aware of, honestly. And I hope this help our viewers. With this, we would come to an end to this particular podcast. Anything you have to say to our audience before we end up?
I think we covered about a great bit as to
Yes,
what to be done, what not to be done. And I feel all these conversations are never ending because there'll be ifs
agreed.
and buts always with this. If not this, then how it'll happen. So I think it's a continuous discussion. But yes, I think it's important that you do your research, you speak up, you connect with people, and you understand the goal overall. But
Yes,
I just have one mantra that even if everything is not going by your action, just keep breathing. I think you will be a floating. So it's really great, Vaibhav, that you are studying right now. We are in different time zone, but still you are very motivated to make these podcasts run. See, that's value addition there, where you are trying
value
to
addition. Yeah,
you had it a difficult way, so you want your viewers to have it in an easier way out. That's a very
yes,
nice thought to have. That kind of compassion we are talking about. So there has to be a passion for law and compassion for each other, and that's how we create value addition. I think I've promoted value addition way too much now.
right,
So yeah, thank you so much for having me, and it was indeed a very wonderful conversation. Very fruitful afternoon, I will say. So thank you for
right.
your time.
Right. Thank you. Thanks to you for taking out time in a busy weekday afternoon, and we hope to have you again on our show because, as you mentioned, there is a lot to talk which is not talked about due to short on time. But thank you so much, and thank you all our viewers for supporting us. So please show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing the YouTube channel and the Spotify, and we shall see you in the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.